This podcast is part of E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it through a variety of methods, time, people, places, and things. But at its heart and at its core, the Auburn experience is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and Auburn family stuff. An easier way to say it, though, if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. So thank you so much for joining us and what we're going to be doing on episode 162 of the Auburn Experience podcast. As always, I'm your host, Kyle Loomis, and back with me once again, freshly off of a first-time experience at Roney's, Mr. Austin Scott. I'm just teeing you off right here at the start of the show.
Teeing me off, even better analogy or saying to start our show. Happy Valentine's Day, Kyle, and I hope you had full of day of Auburn love, and to all our listeners and viewers out there, hope everybody had a happy Valentine's Day. Like you said, we spent ours at Roney's, the mac and cheese bar that we talked about last week, and pretty cool spot. A big win for our kiddos, and I need to try and remember everybody's order. Emily got the garlic parm sauce on hers,
on her mac and cheese dish.
On her mac and cheese with maybe she might have gotten chicken. I can't remember what meat she put on there.
Yeah,
and then maybe some bell peppers and things.
That sounds like identical to what I did.
Yeah, well there you go.
Yeah,
she might have gotten pork. I don't remember. And then I got like when I knew it was coming or what it was coming, this is what I knew I was ordering my first time. Yeah. I wanted the brisket with the barbecue sauce and bell peppers and tomatoes. And so that's what I got. Still good. Emily's garlic parm was very good. And then the boys got like grilled chicken with mac and cheese. And I don't know if they had a sauce or not, but it was a win.
It's all good.
We got to sit by there where they make it and see it all go through. It was busy too, very busy. So great spot.
I think I caught it one night where just a lot of other stuff was going on, so I lucked out in that. But every time I've seen it, it's been very busy. So I love it. I mean, I think it's a great concept for downtown. We always talk about the need for something a little bit different. There's, we can only have so many chicken tender places, and they're all great, but it's just like, hey man,
right.
We can only have so much. So it's a nice little change of pace, and I will be frequenting it quite a bunch. So I'm glad that you and your family, especially with kiddos, like, I mean, mac and cheese is like right up the alley.
Great place.
For all
great
that.
Recommendations. Thank you for that.
It's like the first time I've been able to recommend something for you in Auburn because you're a resident and all that. So
it's true. I'll say we'd seen it. You just gave us the push we needed to get over there and do it.
That's what I'm here to push people around and act like a boss or something like that.
There's an irony in this though of you who you're very particular when you get to come to the Plains on the places you like to go, and you telling me to branch out and go somewhere. So there's an ironic part to this.
The reason this happened is because I made a point, and I even put the task out to some of our viewers and said, look, I'm trying to break out of my go-tos that I'm always there for. Tell me somewhere to go. And I was on the way to something else. And then I was like, hello, I've heard about this before. Let me go in there and give you some mac and cheese. And I was not disappointed. And obviously more than mac and cheese. So go check them out. Another free advertisement for them. We will be frequenting it quite a bunch. Speaking of, since we're on Auburn Eats, I don't know that we mentioned this last episode. You know where I'm going?
Show. No, I don't, but that'd be a great show.
Have I thought about doing that before?
I mean, you could produce a lot of content from Auburn
Listen,
Eats.
I will be honest with you, patent pending. I have thought about doing that as another mini segment before. In fact, people in our Conquer Club saw me make a mock-up logo for it and just said, I'm just playing around with things. We might do it. So don't anybody else out there steal my idea. Auburn Eats, the segment just about all the eats that you can have in Auburn. And all this. Anyway, on this topic, since that's what this is, unless I'm stealing your thunder for something else.
No, go for it.
Did we talk about last week this report that one of the restaurants that was reported to be moving in downtown is no longer good? Did we talk about that?
We did not, but when you mentioned chicken tender places a minute ago, I thought about it.
And is that Raising Cane's is no longer coming?
That's the word on the street and locally around town is that it. Now, when we discussed it, when it made big news, it was coming, but there were some design aesthetic issues that had to happen. The city council, you can't just come in and make whatever you want to make in downtown Auburn, which is, to some people is apparently you can because we keep getting taller buildings. But the front-facing way of the street has to still be approved by all city measurements and things, so we don't get crazy-looking things happening. And there were some crazy things from Raising Cane's end, and I guess maybe those negotiations back and forth proved to be too big a hump. But sounds like the Canes won't be raising on the plains anytime soon.
Well, it's more of a like Louisiana and Texas thing, and so it was kind of a bit of a new thing for Auburn, and we welcome all entities into Auburn and give everybody a fair shake of things. But to be honest with you, I was always intrigued by that one. I don't think that's official in any way that they haven't
seen it. Just the scuttlebutt
that's out there. But you are still Hattie B's, I think, is the other one that we've talked about, is reportedly coming downtown.
Still sounds like that's a full go, and we talked about the alums that are bringing that in too. So I'm very much looking forward to it. I'll be honest, it's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way. I got my own background music, so sorry about that. That this is going to rub a lot of people the wrong way, but if it was one of the two, I'm still taking Hattie B's to stay.
Well, there goes that sponsorship with Raising Cane's. Thank you. I'm kidding. It's whatever.
It's all right. We got Ronies. I'm still taking Hattie B's. Just it's a little different, and like you said, we are the chicken tender capital of the world here in Auburn, Alabama. But Hattie B's is a little bit different, and a little bit. I think it could fit a little bit more in downtown.
Well,
so. We'll see.
That's what we've been talking about, right? Look, there needs to be a little bit of variety, I think, and I think that would give you a little something different in the chicken wars of Auburn as it pertains. And listen, we've seen a bunch of them go away. By the way, were you a part of that episode a long time ago?
I remember in the group me when we discussed and we've upgraded since then. The group me when we've discussed it, doing it. I don't remember if I was actually on it, but I remember we talked about it so many times.
Yeah. What he's referencing, and I am, is the when we used to be a little bit broader on our network and had a bunch of voices in here, there was always this discussion about who has the best chicken fingers in town, and we all disagreed on it, and everybody was incorrect except for what I said.
Oh my gosh! And so much has changed even since then.
It has, right?
Added, and one of those taken away.
Yeah, a lot of those contenders are gone. Contenders are gone.
You could see the light bulb.
I literally didn't even realize what I was doing until it happened. But we did an episode. So I don't know how long ago that was, but if you are a fan of Auburn, you're a fan of Eats in Auburn, just go search it up on the bowels. If I can find the link to it, if it's still out there, I'll share it out, because I think that would be a good.
It's a heated topic. There's some strong proponents of Zaxby's, like yourself. There's some strong proponents of Guthrie's, Fusackley's. I guess back then Tenda Chick would have been on the table.
I would pour one out for Tenda Chick, but there's a lot of equipment right here.
Sure. The building's still there, and nothing seems to have changed. So. I guess
maybe that's where Raising Cane's should go.
At the moment, though, sounds like Raising Cane's won't be joining the chicken wars of Auburn unless some things get fulfilled.
Listen, I didn't anticipate us doing a full Auburn Eats segment here.
Yeah, that went longer than I expected.
Well, hey, listen, we'll entertain the thought. As I've told the Conquer Club people in the Discord, they've seen at that certain level, have seen little things I've thought about. That's what happens sometimes, is they get insights into my mind, and it's a scary, scary thing to get into sometimes. All right, let's jump into it. Auburn potpourri time. Let's catch you up on a roundup of a lot of Auburn news out there, and certainly we did last week's show a little bit different earlier in the day because there was this thing called the big game out there.
The big game,
or some people call it He stopped me right in the middle of saying it too, so that's great right there. I've never heard of anybody getting in trouble of saying Super Bowl.
I'm sure it's a myth. I don't
Super
know.
Super Bowl. There we go. We're shut down. So we have a bunch of new Super Bowl champions. As you and I asked during that show, we did it before earlier time to predict who was going to win. I predicted it would be Carlton Davis and the Patriots. You predicted the other way, even though I was rooting for you to be correct. And guess what? You are correct, sir. The Seattle Seahawks win. Derek Hall becomes a Super Bowl champion. So does Nehemiah Pritchett. So do the coaches Josh Bine and Nico Thorpe. Congratulations to them. not really much on the game here from us, but just want to wish, how happy we are for them. How about Derek Hall,
I was about to
Austin?
say, we
What
got
a
some
game.
notes from the game because Derek
Go
Hall,
ahead.
the first sack of the game on the Patriots' first drive and forces a fumble. It like you said, from the game standpoint, it was kind of bleak. There wasn't a whole lot of fireworks. And so, when Derek Hall forces a fumble in the mid of the second half, you're thinking, I wonder if he could, if nothing else happens here, could he wind up MVP? He didn't.
Yep.
But
should have.
I think it was been mighty deserving. But he ends up a Super Bowl champion, and the Seahawks put together a great year. And like we talked about last week, the team with the most Auburn representation and the most Auburn representation without a previous Super Bowl end up adding some more rings. So congrats to the Seahawks. Congrats to obviously our Auburn guys as well. That's always really exciting to get to celebrate that with them.
Yeah, listen, for Carlton Davis, he's already won one, and he's gone to two different, multiple teams, but he's been to the Super Bowl with two different teams now. So chances are, he's going to end up back in, and he's an outstanding cornerback too. So there's a lot of those good teams out there going to be searching for his services if he does change teams again. So congrats to the ones that did. Certainly Derek Hall, we were rooting for you to get that MVP, but unfortunately it just wasn't in the cards for him, but he had a great game other than that. So that's your Super Bowl, just reminders, even though that's been a week out from this point. Let's talk about some more football stuff. Certainly we are not in the throes of spring just yet. However, we do have some football recruiting to talk about, with the 2027 class being completely wiped clean because of the transition. There was a new opportunity there. Number one's already been there, but the number two commit for the class for 2027 came in this week by way of Hueytown, Alabama. Donovan Moore, defensive lineman, decides to commit to the Auburn Tigers. So another exciting start. You've got an offensive and now defensive guy in the class to start off your very first official full one for Coach Galesh. So I'm excited to see that one this week.
Yeah, Donovan Moore, a big get by all recruiting services and purposes and rankings and things. I think I read number one player in the state of Alabama, and so certainly we got a long way away before this time next year when those things are becoming official. But you see from what Coach Alex Golish told you in the very first press conference that there's an emphasis on recruiting this area in the state and I think his 250-mile radius around Auburn. So that Hueytown, I'm not good at geography, but Hueytown falls inside the 250-mile radius, and
Yes,
you can tell that that he means business and they were serious about that. So obviously, I think it helps that it's a defensive guy. You have a good bit of the defensive staff and proof of concept with DJ Durkin returning, but it's still a new head coach and still a very new staff overall. So for Donovan Moore to fully buy into what they seem to be selling is good news and hopefully foreshadowing for more in the future.
Yeah, you got to give credit to DJ Durkin for, I'm sure, the work he's been putting in, and he's still here. So that certainly helps. Let's acknowledge that. But, you still got to sell the rest of the program. Correct. As the head coach, and Coach Galesh, as you said, has been putting in the work and an emphasis, as I think most coaches do, focus on the primary state you're in, but that 250-mile radius, that region. We talk about those pipelines all the time of Alabama, Georgia, Florida, and then a little bit beyond. And we still got this weird thing that we go up into Maryland for all the time, whether it's from high school or even the transfer portal.
That's right.
It's just wild to see that happen in recruiting. But there's your number two commit in the class. We'll see how it continues to grow in the offseason. We'll stay in football for another minute here. We want to celebrate when guys in the pros have some opportunities here, and certainly they're in that weird transition between they're playing at Auburn and moving on to the pros. But 6 Auburn Tigers have been invited to the draft combine. Now, a lot of these guys you're going to be like, duh. Well, of course, these ones were going, but I was very pleased to see that. And I find it very intriguing that all of these guys are on the offensive and defensive line. Respect. I mean, I know one is an edge technically, but here's your list of 6 Auburn Tigers going to the combine for this particular 2026 version. Keyron Crawford, Keldrick Falk, Bobby Jamison Travis, Connor Liu, Dylan Wade, and Jeremiah Wright. Now, obviously, you've heard those names recently because we've talked about them. They've been in the Senior Bowl or the wasn't the Hula Bowl, the Shrine Bowl, things like that. But I think these are all obvious candidates to get that nod to the draft combine, Austin. But I think maybe even one or two surprises in there. So a lot of them showed out, and I think fought and earned their way into this combine invite.
Yeah, it's obviously a big honor to be invited, and you've obviously piqued the interest of someone be doing so. Like you said, I think Keldrick Falk, Kieran Crawford, Connor Liu are guys that everybody was, of course, and you're not surprised by that. And not that you should be surprised by Bobby Jamison Travis or Dylan Wade or Jeremiah Wright, but for Auburn fans, we know they were steady and constant and consistently did their job while they were here. But they're not the bigger names that we've heard about who have an NFL future from the national pundits or across the Southeast. So to see them get rewarded for that is exciting and special, and hopefully they make the most of the opportunity when they go to the combine in Indianapolis.
Yeah, and you got to think some of the things that we even talked about during those Senior Bowl, Shrine Bowl weeks of Jeremiah Wright having some highlight reels.
Correct.
Kieran Crawford had a highlight moment where he got some revenge on Pavia, which was nice to see. There were some big moments, I think, for a lot of these guys, and it's not just what they did in those weeks, but Bobby Jamison Travis, I think a lot of people forget he was a pretty solid centerpiece in that defensive front that did very well this year, and sometimes gets lost in the shuffle with names like Kieran and Keldrick on the edges, even though he's more of an interior guy. So congratulations to those 6 guys, and we'll be rooting for you in the draft combine. We'll move over to men's golf. My goodness, 2 weeks in a row, Austin, that we're getting to talk about not just men's golf, but Jackson Koiven. If you thought last week was good enough, breaking a Tiger Woods record, he just says, you know what, I'll do this week. I will become the most winning individual Auburn men's golfer in its school history with 7 event wins now under his resume in a very early 2026 season for him. Yeah, they've been playing a little bit in the fall, but this is where it really kicks into high gear. And my goodness, listen, we want to talk about all of it, but Jackson Koiven obviously has got that. The team did really well as well. Number 2, they came in number 2 today to the host of the regional, the Gator Invitational, before the Gators got them there. But man, Jackson Koiven looks like he is sending a message from last year when they snubbed him for the Ben Hogan Award for 2 years in a row, I think.
Yeah, no, the kid's special, and we've all known that from the minute he's gotten on campus. He's proved that. He continues to do so, and now with 7 individual career wins, the most among any Auburn man of all time, he sets that in stone even more. So just day in and day out is impressive that it's this consistent. I don't think we're all surprised by that he keeps doing it, or I think we're just surprised by the consistency he's able to do it, and seeming no lack or no fall off or whatsoever. But yeah, just very impressive. I saw you allude to it. It might have to come up in our summer series that if has Koiven decided to take his own axe and start chipping into that Auburn Mount Rushmore. We do always say that there's something to be said about what you do after Auburn.
Sure.
But for Jackson, I think he has a pretty bright future after Auburn, and it won't be long before his face maybe comes up on that Mount Rushmore.
Well, it's not even that there's not been great players and great moments in this program before him, but there are players that kind of seize their time here and really set themselves apart. You can point to like Casey Cooper in softball, DeWanna Bonner. There's a great history there in women's basketball, but DeWanna Bonner in basketball as well. I think we're kind of talking about that right now with Jackson Koiven. And to be fair, it's in an age where there's a lot of information out there. We're doing a podcast about him, right? So there's more intention that can be pointed towards these individuals, but you got to give credit where credit is due. And
absolutely.
I think we're going to be putting him in very, very good conversations for some type of Rushmore when it's all said and done. In our final potpourri topic this week, we want to catch you up on some other football, the football. I knew this was going to drop at some point here. The spring schedule for soccer is out, and this is a good time to go get acquainted with the team before the fall season gets rolling, because believe it or not, folks, it'll be here before you know it. But they have announced a group of 6 games, and you've got opportunities to see them in Auburn and across the Southeast. Here it is. February 28th, 2 games, Mississippi State and North Alabama, both in Huntsville, Alabama. Austin and I talk a lot about that contingency of Auburn fans that's up there. So that's 2 games, 1 day, Huntsville. You have no excuses, Auburn family, go out and support them. That's a Saturday too. And technically, I was gonna say that's not March Madness, it's February, but anyway. March 21st, Jack State in Jacksonville, Alabama, another great and not far travel for Auburn fans. Macon, Georgia to take on Mercer on the 28th of March. That one's the conflict of March Madness I was thinking about. April 2nd, Columbus State in Auburn, and then April 11th, South Alabama in Auburn. I was hoping they were going to announce one for A-Day weekend so we could have something else. Yeah. But anyway, it's fun to see them, and hopefully anybody will make it out to go support the girls.
Yeah, absolutely. I drive right past the soccer complex I drive right by the Hoppa.
Thank you.
I drive right by the Hoppa every single day to and from work, and they are they are out there even when it has been 20 degrees. They are out there still practicing and doing the drills and everything. So they are preparing for this schedule. They will kick off that first Huntsville game or those first 2 Huntsville doubleheaders in, I guess, 2 weeks, 2 weeks from yesterday. So definitely an opportunity to go see them and see what this team might look like in the fall, and some worthy competition to do so against too in the spring. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, you got an SEC preview, and remember, this is where your head coach came from, Mississippi State, for that first one up there in Huntsville, and you understand probably why that matchup's happening because of their connections. So, right. But hey, listen, there's your spring schedule. Put it on your calendars and make an effort to get out there and get to know the team that'll be starting year 2 of the new era for Coach Armstrong and Auburn soccer next year. One final piece here, maybe before we move on, because I know it was in last week's group of information that we didn't get a chance to jump into. It's not been formally announced in like a social media post, but we all got the emails, right? That A-Day was going to be free for the general boasting. You got that email as well? Like, I'm not imagining that.
No, I assume I did. Now you're making me question it.
Okay, so I just found it very interesting that there was not a formal announcement about it like in social media post, but the email that I got said that it was going to be free general bowl seating for Auburn A-Day, which only adds to a reason for you to come to A-Day, because for a decade now, it's been a charge, or at least 5 years, 5 to 10 years, it's been a charge. So there will be upgraded options, as they tend to do with premium seating, but Austin, A-Day's free. Like it's free. Like I feel like we're finally reverting back to the way things were supposed to be,
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I know.
It's a first step, and then it's an exciting step for people to come in. And I think I read too, we still have autograph sessions on
autograph sessions.
So that's
band,
a free. The band is something though that caught my eye, and obviously we talked about that because that means a guaranteed attendance from my crew. But the free, being able to enter for free, do the autograph session for free, all that, like you said, is kind of a blast from the past of where things were. An A-Day game being back, especially there's no portal window after. All these things are kind of back in the olden days. So sounds really exciting. You just start praying now that we have beautiful weather. I would just love it to have a beautiful spring day for us to go and hang out. And so we'll see what it looks like. But I'm really excited about it, and I hope a lot of other people are. Come into town. Come to go to Roni's. Come see the old Tenda Chick establishment. All the things we've already talked about.
Come wish that Raising Cane's was going to be in downtown and now vacant spot for.
Come wish Raising Cane's was filling the vacant bar that's been vacant for 6 years now.
It's like the death wish of downtown. Nobody can survive there. I have ideas for that, Austin. I always have ideas. But
wait, look, one of these episodes, because you and I got a lot of ideas for things that are totally out of our control or price point. But one of these days, we're going to have a great podcast on all the ideas, and somebody's going to just take us up on it.
Or they'll just steal the ideas and then be like, oh, I don't know where I came up with that on my own. Okay,
that's fine. Just sponsor us when you get that.
That's fine. Rolling. Just throw us a bone here. Just one episode. How about that? All right. That's Auburn potpourri for the week. Let's jump into our major topics. Austin, I would love if we could play a little bit of a song here, but we will be copyrighted on it. But was it Dan Fogarty's center field, or I don't know how you say his name, but center field? Put me in, coach. I'm ready
to play
today. Okay. All right. That's enough. Auburn softball has been in full swing, and Auburn baseball is now in full swing. So we are doing our very first official together Diamond Sports Week update. What do you want to start with? Baseball or softball? What you want to start with?
We can start with baseball.
Let's do it. Opening week, opening series, opening day. It's here, man. We are back in action with Butch Thompson and Auburn baseball, and it was an interesting week of probably some big highs, some lows as well that we got to get into. But let's start with the positivity of it all. Your Auburn Tigers are undefeated. Your number 5 Auburn Tigers, and they're set. Keep in mind with this, folks, when you talk about rankings,
there's 4,000 numbers you could.
I was about to say, I think there's like 5 legit.
There is.
Maybe there's one more that I've seen now too, but you're always going to choose the highest one. So number 5, I forget which one it is, but that's what Auburn's listing themselves as. That's what I would
rightfully so. That's
right. And they've got the talent to do it. So Youngstown State came into town. Your results are as such: game 1, 2-1. Auburn wins in very exciting fashion at the end. Game 2, just as exciting with extra innings. Auburn last inning theatrics to tie the game up and then win it in 10 innings, 2-1. And then it was just like, you know what? We're tired of not having an offense, and just in game 3 of a doubleheader because of weather, 17-2, the Auburn Tigers win and just put it to Youngstown State. You got to think, Austin, that maybe I'm assuming too much here with Youngstown State being a mid-major program. I wonder if it just kind of caught up with them, what they were having to do in a doubleheader situation, and the emotions probably of being so close to taking out Auburn twice, just the floodgates opened up. And then, of course, Auburn's got the talent to be able to do that. But I was not anticipating 17-2. And it was, to be honest, it was supposed to be 17-0 after a rough end in the 9th inning too.
Right. Well, the bats came alive, and like you said, the pitching kind of fell off for Youngstown State after 2 really close games, one with extra innings. But that's what you expected, but also you just expected Auburn to win these games, truthfully, more than anything. Regardless of what the score looks like, you just in a weekend where there was a lot of SEC upsets from some early mid-majors, Auburn comes through unblemished, and that's all you can really ask for. But planned to play 2 yesterday. I think they could have ended up playing it today based on the weather, but hindsight's 2020. But you end up playing 2 yesterday, so you get that first taste of what that might look like. And Auburn baseball walks away 3-0 against Youngstown State.
The Penguins.
The Penguin, great logo. So
it is
cool.
a great logo.
I wish they would have worn it a little bit more. So like that I would not be wearing anything else but that penguin.
Just a big old penguin on
just a big old penguin on my hat, on my helmet, on everything.
It feels like they could almost have an air of the Savannah Bananas with them too. Like, be a serious college baseball team, but have a little fun with this too.
You're the only one. Look, as much as I love the Auburn Tigers, we got a bunch of them. You're the only Penguins. There's no other Penguins.
It's kind of like UC Irvine and the Anteaters. Let's have some fun with it.
Do it all. So props to him. I like seeing, and he's wearing a little hat and a scarf. It's cute, man.
And it's cold outside, kind of.
Yeah, it's probably always cold in Youngstown, Ohio.
I think it was said that they've had to do an indoor facility practice their entire preseason.
That's ridiculous. That is truly ridiculous. I've told the story on this show before about Binghamton, but we met some fans in Binghamton when I was in college, and they were literally, there was the opening weekend, and they were literally on a 5-week escapade to play teams that didn't have their field frozen like they did in Binghamton, New York. I'm just like, props to you for being up there anyway. Wow. Anyway, Auburn sent them back home cold again because as the pitchers came alive and had a record weekend.
Yeah, they did. I think here I got the stat for you, so that's a great segue. Let's talk about the starting pitching, especially of Jack Marciano, Jackson Sanders, and Alex Petrovic. Alex being a little bit more familiar for the fans, at least from last year a lot. They combined to strike out 29 batters with 1 walk in 16 innings. All 3 set career highs in strikeouts in their outings. And when I was looking through some of the stats after each day, well, each game, because one was a doubleheader, I kept being like, oh, wow, plus 10 in strikeouts. And not that it's like unheard of, but I was just like, I wasn't anticipating that even against Youngstown State in this opening weekend. And you heard a lot of talk about that. You maybe hope to see this as a head coach where your pitching's on point to start off the year and let the offense warm up a little bit, because the going theory is it's maybe a little easier to get the offense going than if your pitching's on point at that.
Well, yeah. And these hitters have been seeing the same pitchers all off season and fall, outside of some fall games. And these are the hitters these are the pitchers they've been seeing. And so, I mean, you set a weekend record in strikeouts versus one team. And it's like, well, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if the bats are a little cold because they've been seeing these guys all off season. They get a chance to see some other guys. And obviously it finally comes all together in game 3 last night. But really good start to the weekend for Auburn. Obviously things to build on, and you got some Power 5 teams now that you are out of conference you level up against by bringing in with Cincinnati on Tuesday. Nebraska is next weekend, correct?
No, next weekend is Dallas, is where they go to the.
That's right.
Amergy, whatever it's.
Next home weekend will be Nebraska.
Yeah.
So it really ramps up from here. So great to get through it unblemished, and get that first taste of what it looks like to be playing somebody not wearing orange and blue.
Yeah, I think the starting pitchers were not necessarily what we were expecting. A little bit, Marciano, we were expecting things like that, but
some injuries.
Coach also said we're going to work some guys in here during non-conference play. But I mean, listen, you can't argue with the results. I know it's Youngstown State, I know, but you can't argue with those results. The offense obviously left a little bit to be desired until the end. But Chase Freilich had a great game. So did Eric Guevara.
Yep.
They think they led the way with 6 hits apiece on the weekend. But we have to always talk about the bad too. There was a certain incident, and please don't.
Could have been worse.
It could have been, but please don't go watch that replay if you haven't. Chris Rembert, star player of the team, by all accounts, by all publications, he's going to be Auburn's highest rated guy for the year. That I think just to relate newer baseball fans, but Ike Irish of this team probably in terms of profile. Slid into second on a steal attempt and got his leg caught up a little bit, and it looked nasty. And he did get off the field on his own power, but he was on crutches in between the doubleheaders because it happened in game 2. The word is, and I think I have the wording correct on this, Austin, an interior ankle sprain. I have never heard interior ankle sprain. I've heard
there's probably a reason for that.
it looked nasty. So I exterior and interior got hurt on that one, I think. I mean, I'm just thankful that it sounds like this is a several weeks thing and not we're talking,
end of year.
When does he get into SEC play type of thing? But it's just, you hate to say it, but it just feels like the typical Auburn thing that happens.
Yeah.
Obviously, our concerns for him, but in terms of the fandom part, it just like, come on, we can't have nothing.
I do not like the Jabba thing. I just have never been a fan of it. I think it's overused. It's negative when it really could be a positive thing. But that is the way I felt. When I saw it, I said, "Of course," because you hear from Kyle and I last week talking about all the excitement of this Auburn baseball team and the young talent coming back and all that's expected of them, and not 2 games in, you get an injury to one of those studs, and like you said, thankfully it's not something that he is out for the year or not something that is going to require something that would have him rehabbing for much longer and all those things. But certainly a spot where Auburn is going to have to fill in someone else for a while. I was listening to Butch Thompson this week in preparation of this series though. And it was an interview from him a couple weeks ago, but he was talking about that. He just really, it was more related to the pitching staff, but he alluded to the lineup as well in the infield. This is a different year for him because they're usually very set in what they know they have of pitching and infield. It's a good thing but it's also an unnerving thing that he feels like they have an abundance of talent. He's really not sure where guys are going to play, or some guys who probably deserve to play are going to get meaningful innings. Now that's put to the test with Chris Rimbert gone, and some guys will get that chance. So it could be a really good thing. Could be a spot where we see Auburn struggle. But kind of as always, I'm very glad it's happening early and not in the throes of SEC play.
Well, and the other thing you've got to think about too, we've talked about this with several Auburn sports over the last couple of years. What happens when your best player gets injured or goes down or is not available, whatever? What does your team look like? Because that's the true measurement to me of what type of team you are. Can you not be the same, but find ways to compensate for that loss? Because that means you're a more well-rounded and good I said basketball because I'm thinking about last year's team when they lost Janai and all that kind of stuff. And we saw that. So this is an opportunity for people to have more playing time, an opportunity for this team to really show how deep and how good this talent is beyond that. And you're going to get to see very quickly here, how talented they could be. Maybe as a final note on this, did you see the video with the final renovations for Plainsman Park? But
yes.
Really just interior and office and facility spaces for that. You got to look at that this week.
Yeah, looks real swanky, doesn't it?
It does. And I loved some of the stories I heard where Butch said he was having his office be the front seat of his truck for some of his meetings and stuff like that while this was going on. If you weren't aware of why we're even talking about this, there was the 3 phases of the renovation of Plainsman Park. And their priority, as they always said, was first for the fans. And they started off that with the dugout club, or I forget what it's called. I always
home run club, I think.
Home run club back there, and some other spaces underneath and to the side, and then also just the general seating like concessions and all that kind of stuff. And then you built up the first baseline, War Eagle wall last year. Last year was the big kind of felt like for the general
public,
yeah, that face of it. But this was the final piece, that left field area over that physical therapy area, renovating that space out and really maximizing that. So I guess this is a construction update. People always joke on us that we love to talk about construction updates here. It's completed. And so all the love and the attention that Butch Thompson wanted for this program, the facilities, he's got it. And I think it's very much deserving to finally have this done for him.
Oh, absolutely. And the talent, it's the chicken or the egg. Do you build up your facilities and attract new talent, or do you let the talent kind of give you the opportunity to improve on what you've had? For Auburn, I think it's kind of been both. The talent has led them to higher highs and be able to have more success and an opportunity to improve on what they have, but also it's a way to attract new talent. And I think all those guys are very impressed with what Plainsman Park has become. Certainly a lot of them that paved the way for that aren't here anymore, but it's providing an opportunity for new guys to continue to put on a show in Plainsman Park and feel good doing it in their own interior spaces too. So it continues to show that it is a premier location in college baseball and has been upgraded to continue to be so as well.
And very much deserving so. So I'm glad that that's done, and exciting week for Auburn baseball. It was a good one to get the ball rolling or throwing or whatever. I need a better analogy for that. Either way, that's your first recap for Auburn baseball. Auburn softball. Wow. You want to talk about impressive things? How about 5 straight games, 5 straight wins, 5 straight five straight non-extra innings, run ruling teams, meaning they did not play a game past the 5th inning in Auburn softball. It was part of the War Eagle Classic. They played Illinois in game 1, won 8-0. By the way, Illinois, I think, had a lot of trouble this weekend I thought there was going to be more out of Illinois, but every time I looked in on what they were doing versus other teams, like they were struggling. Bradley is the second game for Auburn, 14-3. They win. Campbell, 11-3. Bradley again, 13-5. Binghamton. How do you say that? Binghamton.
11-1.
Binghamton. I am hooked on phonics. 11-1. And then they were supposed to play the Camels, which is awesome. We talk about
another mascots. Great name.
Listen, This has been like the mask. We've talked about anteaters, camels,
Penguins. They're the only ones. I love it. And Campbell, your name is Campbell, and you the Camels.
Campbell
awesome.
Camels. That's pretty
so
awesome.
Cool.
But we didn't get to play them in the last one because of the weather situation. But as Austin said, maybe it could have happened, given how maybe it was okay today. If I can gripe about something for just a second, Austin, it's not even related to the team. My one gripe about this time of year is the amount of times we have to cancel doubleheader games, all that for softball and baseball. And it's not their fault. It's nobody's fault. I mean, if we want to be mad at someone, be mad at God. I mean, he's the one controlling the weather, I guess. But
whoa.
I'm just saying, whoa, blasphemy over here. But anyway, so, but 5 wins, all of them run rule. I understand this is not the talent that you saw last week, but come on, I mean, you're taking care of business at home. That's what you want to see in year 2 of the Malveaux.
That's what you want to see, and that's how you get home and get a good night's sleep. You don't play extra. You don't play more innings than you have to, and they certainly did that. I am upset with us because, as in you and I, not the team. I'm upset with us because I don't know how we didn't preview this last week when we previewed, but Emily Carasoni came back as the head coach of Campbell. And I saw that this week, and I remember when that happened because she left here, right? It was a jump from here to Campbell, right?
Yeah.
And I remember us talking about that, and I just am regretful that when we saw Campbell on the War Eagle Classic schedule, we did not bring that up, and that's on me.
We failed, and we pride ourselves on that type of stuff. But hey, listen, it's a lot to keep up with. But hey, listen,
it was great to have her back, though.
Yeah, it was, and she served obviously as a player, a coach. She reached the title of associate head coach. We even had discussions when you reach that title, is that a coach in waiting type of thing? Not for us. I mean, it wasn't for us, but she got her opportunity and came back to Auburn here. You know, I wonder what that was like for her. Especially since they didn't have a lot of success against Auburn. I think they had success against others, though. But yeah, that was great to have her back. You want to talk about like feel good things here? Apparently, the Malveaux met at Bradley as coaches, and that's how they're.
No way.
Yeah, like that was shared this weekend
as
well. That was something that slipped past me, but they shared it out on social media. But in reality, here, what the fans are most interested in. Obviously, we've talked about the run rules. Here's your offense for the week. Outscored opponents 57-12, 28 extra base hits, slugging at .911 for the team. I mean, that's pretty much it right there. That's all you need to know is the offense. It's the opposite of baseball this week, right? The offense was on fire. And the pitching did fine. I mean, the worst game is against Bradley for 5. But I mean, I know that it's like not the most exciting of weeks and stuff because this is what you're supposed to do, but aren't we thankful this is what you're supposed to do when they did it?
Yes. And if it wasn't, we'd have more to say if it wasn't going the way that it was supposed to. And so, we're thankful that it did. And it ended up being a great week for them as they hosted this classic. It's always a chance for a lot of fans to go watch a lot of softball. Like I said, Auburn only provided you as much as they could, as much as they were minimally required to. But you're happy to see a bunch of wins and take care of business. I think that the offense being that encouraging or that successful is encouraging to me because we talked about previewing this staff is pitching minded, much like baseball, but to see the offense kind of come alive is something even more exciting. And so hopefully that continues as they continue to chase new highs and play more higher talent. But certainly it's been off to a great start so far.
Yeah, obviously they've got another set of challenges coming up with going out to California for another one of these tournaments. And there's going to be more power conference opponents there as well. But week 2 in the books and looks pretty good. As a final note in the Diamonds week thing, I just want to give a little shout out and thanks to the Auburn softball and baseball programs for how they honored 2 individuals this week. Philip Marshall got an honorary setting for themselves at the media tables and such in honor of him as a longtime Auburn person after his tragic passing away. And then we also
complete with the iconic Diet Coke.
I know. I saw that. I love that too. And I would imagine, that's a chuckle for those that know him very well. And then also, I want to say I forgot about this, but when it all came back around this week with Mike Cooper, helmet guy, was honored by softball and baseball as well, gave out commemorative helmets and things like that. Felt I wasn't there, obviously, this week to not hear his voice echoing out into the night. But I'm sure it was a very surreal time for those people that are frequenters to Auburn baseball to not hear him. But they did a great job honoring him.
Yeah, no, I agree completely, and I think you'll see more of that. I think that the stickers will be worn on the back of batting helmets for most of the year, if not all of it. So very, very nice tribute to him. And like you said, the video that showed the stickers had like his Auburn Tigers in the background. Even that was kind of like, oh man, that's like you recognize that. And then I wonder, does the stadium feel quiet, or is someone taking up that mantle? Is there something like that? But we'll see. But certainly a surreal moment for Auburn baseball and softball, but a great job doing a tribute to him.
They always do the best when they they just do a great job always in these moments. And so just wanted to give them in their programs a shout out for handling that a perfect way. Brings us to our final main topic this evening. And let's be honest, it's not going to be the most fun one in the world. It is a basketball week update. And it's not been a great week for basketball. No wins to talk about this week on either venue here.
Yep.
First of all, let me just cover the women's side of things really quickly here. They lost to Texas A&M today. They continue to be in that murderer's row first year for Coach Vickers. It's been a while since we've talked about a win and an SEC win, but I remind folks that they did beat Florida to start off the year and then nearly did it again, but also knocked off ranked Alabama. So there are silver linings on a year that's been very challenging, at least in SEC play for Coach Vickers and staff. The other thing that I always forget about this too, Austin, is that with I think it's one less team in women's basketball in the SEC. I think they have 15 instead of 16, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Does that sound right?
It does, but I'm trying to figure out who it was, because
it was Vanderbilt.
No, Vanderbilt's back because they're top 5 this year. But I want to say they might be newer, so it might have been now complete. But is it not?
Maybe it is again, and I'm mistaken. But there's obviously every year these stretches where they don't have a midweek game, and that's the second time this year that's happened. So there's a couple less games in there. And I think it's because there is one. Is it Missouri? Is it, now that I'm thinking about it?
I think they have 16.
Okay, maybe I was wrong, but either way, it just
I think it is Vanderbilt, but I think they have expanded now to include volleyball and women's basketball.
Okay, well there you go. But it just, those stretches sometimes, especially when you're having a rough stretch like this for Coach Vickers and his team, it makes linger a little bit. But just hang in there with them. Hopefully there'll be a few more bright spots before they end the year for the first year under Coach Vickers. Let's talk about men's stuff here, though, because there's I think some stuff we need to digest, talk about. Not a great week. Vanderbilt came to town. They won 84-76 here. I think that's the first time Vanderbilt beat us in Auburn in like 10 years or something like that. So that's not a great stat you want to hear. But
nope.
Vanderbilt's been a decent team this year. There's that. Arkansas. We had to head over there to a ranked Arkansas team. They were going to be chomping at the bit after their embarrassment in Neville. And to be frank, I thought they would have done more, but they do win 88-75. So I feel like there's a big story that we need to talk about that overarches all of this today. But maybe before we jump into that, anything about the performance of the team or individuals other than the obvious one that you want to talk about first?
Well, both games were so similar in the sense of it just felt like Auburn was right there at times and just never took advantage.
Would you say they were close?
No, I would not. You can see that same sentiment in this 4-game losing streak with the Tennessee game, before the Alabama game, and now these 2 games, that there were so many times Auburn found themselves in a hole they created and then inched their way back within striking distance, and then you see it fall apart again. And just a healthy 5-10 point lead maintains its way the entire rest of the game. And that's how both these games felt, especially the Vanderbilt one. It felt like Auburn dug itself such a big hole early on and then found something that was working, got it back to maybe within 4, and then just let Vanderbilt control it the rest of the way, whether it be by way of turnovers or by way of not taking advantage of certain opportunities or missed defensive assignments. And then Arkansas, like you said, I certainly thought it'd be an uglier game. At times it didn't look good, but uglier game from final score and from just the way it performance looked. Partly because of the revenge factor, like you said, but also just because they have some more people back, and then the storyline we'll get to in a minute. But thought Tahad Pettiford maybe had one of his best games this year, which, of course, it was on the road. But
well, he kind of like dissipated that story for a little bit there with him doing a little bit better at home, and then it was we're back. Okay, like he likes playing on the road, and the challenge. I don't know.
Certainly Auburn needed him yesterday.
Oh,
and without a game like that, you wonder how bad it could have been. But I thought a really great game for Keyshawn Murphy, too.
Yes.
The two of them combined to be the duo that Auburn needed against Arkansas, and really kept Auburn in the game at every step, whether it be scoring, passing, rebounding, all in all. So overall, no, it's an 0-2 week. It really stinks. And this team, just you wonder where they're at mentally and everything. But certainly a good stretch still here to go to improve on with teams that you feel like Auburn should at least play level against or beat.
And I just want to come back to Pettiford for a minute, because the dude's gotten a lot of flack this year. And to be fair, he knew he was going to be the most eyes-on player this year. He's the only one returning. He had such a great freshman year. Sometimes there is this sophomore slump type of situation, but I'd also argue with people that you probably built narratives and expectations around the kid that were going to be a little bit different this year, just because of what was going to be asked of him. He continues to be devalued, in my opinion, by what he does defensively when he's at his best and is doing the right things there, but also as a distributor. He scores 29 points in this game, and he's the leader and probably the reason Auburn even had a shot against Arkansas. But he still, I think, had 7 assists in this game. He's the leading assist getter. He's distributing the ball well. He's creating opportunities for others, setting up Keyshawn Murphy. So I just think he deserves a little more credit than he's being. There's too much focus on the other side of the negatives right now, and not enough credit being given where it is due and overdue for guys like Tahad Pettiford. Couple that with what you talked about, Keyshawn Murphy. Besides having a 22-point game, which feels like his season high.
I want to say that is his career high.
High.
I want to say I read that as his career high.
But also 500 career rebounds for him reached in this game as well. So it's almost like he knew that was coming and said, you know what, I'm just going to drop a 20-piece on top of it just to make this night extra special. And a highlight dunk as well, because just threw it down. I mean, that looked like he had something against that rim. I did the old joke of that rim had a family. What did you do to it type of thing on social media. I know it's overdone, but I love it. I'm a big Keyshawn Murphy fan. And as was pointed out by Todd Golden, when he had to play them versus Florida, he said, I didn't realize how athletic Keyshawn Murphy was. And Pearl says, yeah, because he hadn't been fully healthy yet. So we keep talking about this, Austin, and I know we're mainly on Murphy here, but all of these pieces, you're starting to see what their potential is. What happens when they all come together at the same time? And maybe it's just that this is a group that was all brought together very, under a lot of pressure and stuff like that. And just maybe a little bit more patience is due. But I'm very happy with Keyshawn Murphy. Let's talk about it. Because Keyshawn Murphy did great. And he kind of said, you know what, Keyshawn, or as it's spelled, Keyshawn, I got you, Keyshawn. I'll take care of you. Keyshawn Hall had a week. He started off great versus Vanderbilt, doing what he normally does, and got a technical. And from that technical point on, did not return in the game, as far as I'm aware, which I think was like 12 minutes left in the second half. It felt like.
Yeah, close to 10. I don't remember exactly.
But a significant amount of time. And it looks like the decision, it was described as a coaching decision why he didn't come back in. And that's every coach's prerogative to do that. It looks like that extended beyond that game. And the decision was made from Coach Pearl's mouth that there were expectations that were not met by Keyshawn Hall this week. And when addressed, he addressed it the right way, but it's up to him on when he returns. And thus he sat out for this game. So before we get into the drama of it all, I also want to point out, if we're going to talk about the facts, but we also need to talk about the after facts as well. What does his body language look like? Every time they cut over to Keyshawn Hall on the TV. He's up out of his seat, cheering his opponents on. So from everything that we
cheering
can
his
see,
team on, he wasn't cheering his opponents on.
That's
that
fair.
That would not be good.
That was not the way to respond. Thank you for catching me.
That we'd be talking about a lot more.
that you want to talk about some drama? Then that is some drama.
He's over on the bench leading Woo Pig Suey.
Wait a minute. I just had a flashback to TJ Dunnins going over to the Georgia huddle and like getting the play for them, but this time it's actually he's going over there to help him. Wow, I didn't think
Woo Pig
Suey Razorbacks. It's the dumbest cheer in the world. How do y'all? Sorry. By the way,
can you imagine?
Sorry, I completely took us off the rails here, and since I'm on this train right now, what is up with the Arkansas fan base on YouTube? Y'all are, and listen, thank you for the views, but every single time Auburn and Arkansas come together, there's like expanded traffic.
There's not much else to do up there, man.
It's wild to me. And I've met some really good ones on here, but some of y'all are just weird. Like, and you say Wee Pig Suey or whatever. It's Wee Pig Suey. All right, back to this.
Cheering on his opponents. That'd be hysterical.
Just cut that out. Insert here. Cheering on his teammates when he was on the sideline. And, I got to give credit where credit is due in terms of at least the public response that he's had. So debates are being had, Austin. Was this the right move? People are questioning the coach saying, you can't do this when we're, I know, right?
Debates.
When you're struggling to get SEC wins. And does this mean the team is falling apart? Now, to that narrative, coach did address that and said, we've got some BS going on in the locker room, and that all needs to be put aside and come together as a team. Essentially, that's the sentiment that was shared there. So, I mean, it looks like some of that is going on, and I think we can all look and see that at times it's not flowing as well as it did last year, especially when you're juxtaposing it to that. So, what's your take about all this? The Keyshawn Hall drama, right, wrong? What do you think about all this?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, the decision of you mentioned it the team last year juxtaposed it. First and foremost, I don't think this team, like we just talked about, has a conjoined unit feeling and a family feeling that team had after being together for so long. This team was thrown together. That's just how the cookie crumbled with the eligibilities all falling out, people going to the draft, whatnot. This team was a bunch of people coming together to try and be a team for the first time. So you don't have that natural feeling of what expectations are laid and who's going to call out who and all those things. Now, certainly that can be earned and certainly that can be garnered, but that doesn't come just overnight naturally. So I think you're seeing some side effects of that. I also think that Keyshawn Hall is someone who is obviously on the court a leader for this team and ends up filling up the stat sheet most every night that he plays. So when his attitude and when his body language looks anything less than what Stephen Pearl accepts or expects and demands, then he feels he has to do something about it. And I think that, I was at the Vanderbilt game, and I think you could see some of that. Certainly from the technical on, it was a frustrating night for him. It's a frustrating night for Auburn in general. But I think Stephen Pearl and the staff expect a certain thing to be done the right way, and that's how you hold yourself and hold a standard on the court and off it. It sounds like from him that did not happen, and so thus the benching and then thus the suspension. To me, more than anything, and some of you aren't going to like this, and that's fine, but to me, more than anything, I think it speaks even higher of Stephen Pearl that he is willing to do this during that losing stretch or losing streak, more so than if he were to turn a blind eye to it.
Or do it versus an opponent that you're about to probably beat no matter what.
Sure.
I mean, this is a team that was seeking revenge over you. It's a ranked opponent. It's got one of the best Hall of Fame to be coaches there is. I mean, like this wasn't the time if all you care about is winning.
Sure. And you've lost three straight.
Right. So
and after the game, you look and say, as Keyshawn Hall plays, do you have a chance in that game? Probably a really good chance. And so I think that to me, it's more about him setting a standard and making an example of what he expects the rest of the roster to look like. And all that is good and fine if Keyshawn Hall takes it the way he's supposed to and does the things he's supposed to rectify the situation. Like you said, from a public standpoint, every time the camera was on him, it looked like things are going the right way. We might not know until this upcoming midweek if that ends up being the case and if things are all good and dandy again. But I think it speaks more to Stephen Pearl trying to establish his own culture as the head coach of Auburn men's basketball than anything else. I certainly understand the frustration of we could have won that game. It's true. Some things truly are bigger than winning, and I think he's trying to lay that foundation that no one is above the law, if you would.
I think if you're going to send that type of message, that's who you do it against if it's deserved, right? Your best player, the one you probably can't lose in in these high-profile situations against these type of teams. Players should look at that and go, if he's willing to do that to the number one player in our team, the best scorer we have, I better get in line, because there's been other times with other players on the team who've lost some playing time. And I think that, it sends a message, but it's one thing to see that happen to that person, but to the star player, at one time, the leading scorer in the SEC, like it's time to everybody wake up, know your role, shut your hole, and play some basketball, because this team is much better than they have shown at times, and they have shown how good they can be. I still believe this team's got a lot left in the tank, and I'm excited to watch them the rest of the season. But yeah, so there you go. Basketball week update. Not the most fun one in the world, but we got to talk about it. The highs and the lows of the Auburn experience. That's going to do it for episode 162. Before we head out of here, I always want to remind you to keep up with us. If you want to follow us on social media, our direct messages are always open if you need to reach out to us. And E2C Network at gmail.com is a great way to reach us in general, or me. Where can they find you, sir?
Yeah, at Austin G. Scott on X on Instagram. I'll be sharing a photo this week of an accomplished task that I completed with my father in my backyard. And it does have an Auburn flair because I got to get a flag for it. But that's a little sneak peek for you.
Just a little sneak peek. Just, if nothing else, you get the insights of an Auburn resident. And
that's right.
It makes us all jealous.
All the things.
Single time. Not
look, I'm trying to help you at least semi rectify that.
I've been trying to semi-rectify that for years now.
I got another link I need to send you, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, then send me that link here. By the way, folks, I'm not moving to Auburn.
No, he's not.
He's not. He's not. But you can't keep me away from it, basically. All right. Before I get myself in more trouble, move on there. Before I got the auger out. Thank you all for tuning in. As we go, I remind you, the Auburn Creed asks you to do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. We ask you to do the same. War Eagle.
War Eagle.